Howdy folks, I'm Vibrant Vancouver Island Blue, valiantly venturing into vibrating vaults.
I'm Amber.
And here are more vibrating vaults for us to venture into. Turns out that they weren't vibrating for any reason other than that there were earthquakes. Lots of earthquakes. Much like these Reddit stories are about to produce. So let's get started. Tremors. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Explaining to Someone Why Their Boyfriend Would Never Take Them Seriously? I'm a 27-year-old female, and I'm best friends with Liam, a 28-year-old male. Recently, Liam started dating Bonnie, a 26-year-old female. Now, here's the situation. I'm not entirely fond of Bonnie. She's your typical dumb, blonde, girly girl. All looks, no brains, that you would probably see in one of those videos of guys interviewing girls on the street. Her personality is also very basic. I don't know what Liam sees in her. And I never expected for him to go for a girl of her type. She is very bubbly, annoying, and acts very childish. She acts like a teenager instead of a 26-year-old woman that she is. So Bonnie has been planning on getting an IUD. I know this because she was telling people about it. Well, the other day, our friends group was hanging out and Bonnie showed up. Bonnie looked like she had been crying. One of our friends asked her what had happened, and Bonnie said that she got her IUD earlier, and it really hurt. She went on this very dramatic rant about how she was screaming and shaking and sobbing the entire time. She also said that she had to bring Liam with her for quote-unquote emotional support. I laughed, and she asked me in a sort of tone why I was laughing. I snapped and I told her the truth. I told Bonnie that I was laughing at how childish she was, sobbing and crying about getting an IUD in, and the fact that she had to bring Liam there for absolutely nothing. She told me that I had no right to comment on how she was feeling. I explained that she was nothing but a childish attention seeker, and that Liam would never take her seriously if she continues to act the way that she does, and that she needs to grow up. Bonnie began to argue with me and tell me that I was insensitive and gross. I brought up the fact that Liam wants kids, so if she can't handle something like an IUD, how would she be able to handle childbirth? Bonnie told me to go away before our friends physically separated us. Now everyone is mad, including Liam, who called me the other day in an attempt to defend his girlfriend's actions. I told him that he doesn't understand because he's still in the honeymoon phase, and when that passes, he will realize everything about Bonnie is wrong. Still, people are mad at me. Am I the jerk? Alright folks, what do you think?
Oh my goodness, yes, OP, you are a major jerk. First of all, I think you're just mad that you aren't in Liam's pants. But everything you say here is so cruel. Like, I don't know if OP has ever had an IUD insertion, but it sounds like, it can range from relatively minor to worse pain than childbirth. It really varies from person to person. It is not uncommon for people to faint, pass out, it isn't uncommon for people to pass out from the pain of it. And so to belittle and diminish her is so despicable. But also, since when do you know Liam better than he knows himself? Liam is right here in front of everyone. OP's like, Liam's never going to take you seriously, blah, blah, blah. Liam can talk for himself. He can decide for himself. You're not the Liam whisperer.
Well, I think what it is that OP has this vision, idealized vision of Liam in her head. And she is so wrapped around Liam's finger that she is lashing out at Bonnie here. And that's not good, right? I mean, the thing is that she only dislikes Bonnie, I think, because Bonnie and Liam are together. And OP is looking for a reason to be mean and cruel to Bonnie. And that's going to be saying something like this. Now, I think that OP probably needs to go into therapy. And I would not be surprised if Liam drops them as a friend because of how they're acting here. And I mean, I think that you bring up a really good point, right? OP is like, oh, well, Liam will never respect you. But then Liam's like, hey, you shouldn't say these things to them. And OP still argues and is like, oh, no, that's only because you're still in the honeymoon phase. Eventually you won't respect her. So I think there's a lot wrong here, and I think it mostly stems from OP's personal feelings, and it's really unfortunate that she said these things to Bonnie, because I think that it really shows a lack of empathy.
Yeah, well, it's a huge lack of empathy, and it's just so horrible how she's treating her. Again, for the crime of being with Liam is really what it boils down to, because everything she says is belittling and demeaning, and like, you don't have to be besties with everyone, but the level of meanness here is uncalled for. It's like next level cruelty.
Yeah, well, I just want to kind of point out that just because you dislike someone doesn't mean that you can't still show them empathy. And even if you find someone annoying, that means that they're still a person. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve respect, that they don't deserve compassion. And it really seems like OP has forgotten that. And I think that, they'd owe Bonnie an apology for the way they acted here. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. But folks, let's see what the Wheel of Judgment has to say. Wheel of Judgment, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the judgment that OP's earned.
If OP doesn't get the centrifuge, I'm going to be disappointed.
No chill, only drama.
I mean, that's true, but also...
I mean, she is no chill, only drama. And was like, they deserve the centrifuge, though. They do. And MVMs says, you're the jerk. Getting an IUD was the single most pain that I've ever felt in my life. I screamed the entire time that the procedure was going, and I threw up in the parking lot. And in case you want to say you don't have any pain tolerance, the next biggest amount of pain that I've suffered is dislocating my hip and walking on it for 3 days. And Aqua Mansion Not Useless says, you're the jerk, and I'm baffled that you had the confidence to post this. I do kind of want to point out the fact that these IUDs are being inserted without any pain, localized anesthesia or anything like that, and I think that's a tremendous disservice to women. Clearly women are having a huge amount of pain in these, and I know that doctors say that they're not supposed to be painful, but it's clear that that's not the case. So it's full of it's BS that women aren't given or administered some form of painkiller for these procedures.
Well, because women's pain isn't taken seriously, and we're thought to be overreacting and whatnot, and it really is disgusting and despicable.
And just there for this one post says, you're the jerk. Calling her the typical dumb blonde when you're a typical annoying pick-me girl is hilarious. Liam clearly takes her a lot more seriously than he takes you. So what does that make you? And Dusty Owl 32 says, you're the jerk. Have you ever had an IUD in? Because it's incredibly painful for any woman who hasn't had any children. Many women have screamed and sobbed from having one put in. Sounds like you are jealous and hateful. Did you want Liam for yourself, or do you think that you have some weird claim on him because you're friends? Instead, you sound toxic and insecure because he has a pretty girlfriend. Yes, you're the jerk. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Calling My Husband Sexist for Getting Our Son Hot Wheels cars and action figures instead of a dollhouse? Well, yesterday, my husband had taken our 4-year-old son to the toy store while I was home. When they came back, they had bought a few Hot Wheels cars, some action figures, and one of those dinosaurs that move. Our son was very happy. Later, as my husband was explaining each action figure to our son, I sat down as well and asked my son how he liked the toy store. He said that he did, and also said that he wants a dollhouse too. My husband told me that he had been asking for a dollhouse at the toy store. I asked him if they didn't have one there because they didn't bring one home. He said that there was, and that our son wanted one, but my husband had convinced him that it's not for him and got him cars and action figures instead. I was disappointed because I loved my dollhouse growing up. In fact, my mom still has it in her attic. I told him that if our son really wanted one, it would have been nice to get him one that he wanted. And my husband said that it was in the girls section of the toy store and that we'll get it for our daughter, she's a year old, when she grows up. I told him that this was all giving sexist vibes. Not angrily, but I did say it, even if I didn't mean to say that he's sexist. Well, he was offended and said that I know that it's not the reason, and our son loves the toys that he got, and calling him sexist for such a thing was uncalled for. I told him that I didn't mean to say that he was sexist and apologized for it sincerely, and said that it's okay if our son wants a dollhouse. That's all I meant. We ended it there, and our son indeed enjoys his toys. I've been thinking about it all day, and I'm a bit conflicted. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk, and your husband is being sexist. He just doesn't like that you were right in calling him out on it. Because what is separating the son and daughter from, other than their gender? literally he's just being like, well, it's in the girls section, so our son can't have it. That's sexism right there. Like, kids of any gender can have toys, any sort of toys, and he needs to hear this kind of thing so he can hopefully change and do better. Because the son deserves to have the dollhouse, and maybe it sounds like his action figures maybe need a house.
Yeah, well, the thing is that action figures are just dolls, right? And it's a lot like how you go into the deodorant aisle and there's men deodorant and women's deodorant, right? They're the same thing. They might have slightly different smells to them, but they're virtually the same thing, right? And the reason why, uh, you know, they market them to genders like this is because it's more profitable to do it that way. If there was just a unisex deodorant, then people wouldn't know how to use it because they'd be too self-conscious about it, right? I mean, that's the thing is like the marketing breeds self-consciousness, and that's why they do these kinds of things. It's like, oh, you need to be more manly, or you need to be more feminine, or you need this or that, right?
Well, they often charge more for the women's equivalent, I think it's called pink washing, where they take basically the same product and they just make it pink and then charge more for it.
Yeah. And so I think that that's just unfortunate that he is kind of viewing it in this way. Toys are toys, and the point of toys are for kids to play and grow their imagination, right? They role play with these toys. And if he wants to role play with a dollhouse, I don't know why that makes a difference. I mean, eventually he's going to grow up and be in a house, right? He's going to have to do chores. He's going to have to do stuff around the house. What is going to change about him if he uses a dollhouse, right? A toy house. I just don't see how this impacts him in any meaningful way other than allows him to have a creative exploration in play. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Pomegranate7777 says, not the jerk, he was being sexist. And Epicurious Burrito says, not the jerk, gendering children's toys is an incredibly ridiculous concept in the first place. Play has no gender, imagination has no gender. And LinkCaught18 says, sounds sexist to me. And Leoli973 says, not the jerk, him not wanting to get it for him is sexist. Like, I'm glad that he likes the toys that he got him, but he's still saying that he wants a dollhouse, and your husband has pretty much said no. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for yelling at my dad over a creepy comment about our neighbor? Our neighbor, Emily, just turned 18 recently. I'm a 21-year-old female, and I was in the kitchen when I heard my dad, a 55-year-old male, say, wow, she has really grown into her figure. I snapped and I called him a creep and a pervert before storming off. He tried to explain that it was just an observation and that he doesn't mean anything by it. I told him that it's completely inappropriate, and I called him a pervert. I was shaking with anger and disgust. Later, my mom pulled me aside and said that I overreacted. She said that it was an innocent comment and that my dad notices things sometimes and that I shouldn't call him a pervert over one remark. I still feel uncomfortable and grossed out around him, but my mom thinks that I was too harsh. Am I the jerk? Is this just a normal thing that men do? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. That was a very creepy comment to make about a girl who's his daughter's age, like actually younger than his daughter, in front of his daughter. Like, this is just so creepy that like he's making these comments about this girl who has grown up, in the house beside them and has just turned 18. That is giving some very, very creepy vibes.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a little bit of a problematic comment, and the fact that he is so casually kind of saying it shows a lot. Like, saying, oh, well, she's grown into her figure. I mean, what is that saying right there? And I mean, I think that he needs to kind of reflect on what that means, right? And sure, it's one thing to comment that, oh, they've grown up or something like that, or they really grew up, but the fact that he's commenting on her figure specifically, I think is what's problematic here, saying that, oh, she's now looks like she has her curves and whatever, right? And I mean, I think again, this is a little bit problematic in that respect, and I think that OP's right to be upset by this because, she just heard her dad sexualize a neighbor who is younger than she is, and what does that kind of show, like, what her dad is observing here, right? I think that's really what it kind of boils down to and why she's uncomfortable with this, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Loa Ba says, as a dad, as a son growing up with a dad who made similar comments, you're not the jerk. You heard something that you didn't like and you said so. If your dad's not actually a pervert, hopefully this made him rethink what he says and why. Full disclosure, we all make inappropriate comments. The question is whether or not we learn anything when we're called out. I hope your dad takes your reaction to heart, OP. And Sweet Becky says, what happened to, oh my goodness, I can't believe she's 18 now. She was just a baby yesterday. Time really flies, huh? It was just her first day of preschool yesterday, etc., etc. Your dad had many options and he chose to comment on her body. Gross. And Purple Cat Stencil says, not the jerk. Ask your father how he would feel if your mother noticed an 18-year-old boy next door wearing a swimsuit and said, wow, he's really feeling out that Speedo nicely. Put it in perspective for both of them. You are not the jerk and you're not overreacting. Fathers and mothers need to hear their sexualizing comments for what they are. All right, folks, and we have an update. Our update is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Punishing My Daughter for Hitting a Disabled Boy That Touched Her Inappropriately? And basically, this one boils down to she was in gym class. He ran up behind her and touched her butt, and then she hit him and nearly got suspended. But, fortunately, OP and their husband kind of stepped in. I know a lot of people have been wanting an update on the situation with my daughter. Quite a few things have happened. I can't give too many details because there are active investigations and legal cases going on, but I figured that I would give all the lovely people that helped me on the right path a good update. Well, there was another incident in the school with my daughter Kayla and Josh. He tried to hug her when she didn't want to, and instead of being polite, she was assertive like I told her to be. She sternly told him no, and when he kept trying, she pushed him away. Josh actually picked her up by the waist and tried to force her to hug him. She bit him hard enough to draw blood. I'm so proud of my little girl. The principal suspended her after that, and while she was out of school for the rest of the week, the police and CPS got involved because of my police report, and the school board took action about my complaints. The principal has been suspended pending investigation, and an interim principal is in place. I already like him. The first thing that he did was have a meeting with me and Kayla. He was calm, reassuring, and agrees that the behavior of Josh and the previous principal were absolutely unacceptable. Josh is suspended indefinitely while the police and CPS investigate what's going on, and Kayla is back in school. She has been so much happier at school without having to deal with Josh. She has been eager and excited to go to school. I've contacted a lawyer and we're talking about if we have a case to sue the old principal. We're just in the beginning stages, but things seem to be going well. She's a cousin of a friend, so she's taking our case pro bono. Thank you so much for helping me find the correct path forward. Fingers crossed that everything goes well. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I'm really glad that they were able to get a better principal in there.
Yeah.
I'm glad that Kayla is finally able to be happy in school.
Yeah.
She deserves that, and it's really despicable that the school didn't do anything sooner.
Well, it just sounds like this was primarily led by the bad principal. And fortunately, he's out of there now, and Kayla is going to be able to go to school without being sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. And that's really what's important. She shouldn't be forced into physical situations that she's uncomfortable with. And the fact that he was this aggressive this time, that's scary, right? Because that shows that he's, one, physically capable of picking her up and carrying her off, right? And that right there alone is terrifying, right?
Well, it also seems like the teachers, why didn't they break it up immediately? Why did he get to a point where he was able to grab her like that?
Yeah, it also shows in that case that they're not paying enough attention to what's going on if they let it escalate to this point,
Because they know there's an issue. It seems like they just don't care. They don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
Because they don't see it as anything wrong because they're not Kayla.
So I'm really glad that the new principal is taking action on this and that the old principal was fired. He deserves to be fired and sued. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she has a joke.
Why did the ant hitch a ride on the young chicken?
Well, the ant hitched a ride on the young chicken because they wanted to cross the road to get to the other side. It's the classic chicken cross the road joke, but with an ant.
Because they wanted a cheap flight. And it's cheap flight day and to find your inner nerd day.
So go find yourself a cheap flight by hanging on to the landing gear as the plane flies away
No,
like
that
an
sounds
ant
like
does to a chicken. Don't do that, please. I do not want you to meet an early demise.
Yes, do not listen to that bad advice.
And I have a special guest tea today. All right, this one is called S'mores Chai. It's rich, toasty, and chocolatey. It's a David's tea. And, you know, it's not bad. Its ingredients are hura tea, brittle pieces, cinnamon, sugar, marshmallow, chocolate chips. I definitely tasted the chocolate in there. Natural and artificial flavorings. So chocolate, hazelnut, toasted marshmallow flavoring. Honestly, it smells amazing, right? It's a very good smelling tea. I diluted mine a little too much, I think. I think I added a little too much water to mine. But even still, it's a sweet tea, right? I mean, it sounds like it has a lot of sugar in it already, so you can definitely taste the sugar, and I'm sure I would taste the sugar even more if it was more concentrated. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on casual sexism.
Don't be sexist.
Don't be sexist. I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.